So I think, for us, this whole idea of unbossing is not a religion. Yeah? I think it is very pragmatic. It is just what makes sense. Yeah? It's just what makes sense. I think we always had a very intimate relationship with our colleagues as a small company, like any startup would. And we also realized very early that at least among the founders, and we had five, six founders. My branch of Nagarro had five founders, and we needed to get to a point where we should just we should not wait for consensus or agreement. We should just move uh, and just let people stop us if they felt that we were going in the wrong direction. So that idea of each of us being entrepreneurs and doing our thing and just being careful enough to collaborate was very early on, right? I think there was also a moment of shock when we started to get a bit hierarchical. I remember that there was a project which had some issues, and the client was visiting, a German client was visiting, and we're trying to work through the issues. And before the client visit, I had the senior most boss in that entire, chain create a PowerPoint with, why that there was not really an issue or why it was the client's issue, and lots of slides, maybe 20 slides, 25 slides. And when the client did come, uh, the client just dismissed all of that and said this is not appropriate. And I got really upset that we were not able to make the client happy. So I left the meeting and I went straight to the floor where people were programming. And I found one guy on the team and I sat down with him and said, this is the problem we are having. What do you think? And we worked for 3 or 4 hours. And 3 or 4 hours later, the problem which had taken maybe 2, 3 months of discussions, etc., was more or less solved, right? Or at least 60, 70% solved. So it at once opened my eyes to the fact that a smart person on the team who's actually doing the work knows a lot more than all these people. And as it filters up the chain, you get more and more noise and less signal very often, especially where a crisis is concerned, right? Positive news, of course, gets amplified, but the crisis gets all hidden away and all kinds of reasons get made. And so this was a big realization, I would say, enlightenment of the sort. Um, Another such thing, of course, I've been in operations consulting in Europe when I was very young. And there too, I saw this, that the silos that were created by these org designs would just lead to there being no communication between these groups, no reevaluation of whether the old approaches still made sense or not, because everyone was in their cocoon, right? And you would see large companies, and you would go in as a young 25-year-old, 26-year-old consultant with the air cover provided by some professor, but you were doing the work, and discover that they were just doing things non-optimally because of org design. And so then there was this idea, and these things are happening side by side. And there was this idea that in the long run, in the future, there would be a system, an IT system, that would do away with the need for hierarchy, because everyone would just communicate, would get all the information they needed from the system, would put the ideas in the system, it would nudge people the right way, and so on, right? So these three threads, the consulting realization, the internal Nagarro realization, and then this idea of a system. I even tried to make that my PhD topic. My professor was not interested, so we didn't do it. But these three all combined later to create what we now have, which is having it as an institutionalized thing in Nagarro. So to some extent, a short answer to your question, the seeds were always there. I think it took us a while to put it all together. And again, it's not, as you started off by saying, it's not a religion. It is, at some places you do need some structure, and you do need some minimal structure. But the question should always be, can we avoid it? Can we do without it? And always try to reduce structure rather than add structure.